Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Christina, and in today's video, I'm going to attempt to give you a peek inside what like a morning time setup looks like on any given day. Oftentimes when I share the different curriculum and resources and books that we use in our homeschool for a variety of different ages and subjects and topics, I get questions about like, what does this actually end up looking like, or how do you implement these things, or questions like that. And so I thought that I would share with you kind of how we structure the group learning, I guess, which many would call like morning time or morning basket or something like that. And so we have had a lot of transition over the last year with my oldest graduating, and we are still finding new rhythms and settling into like what's going to work for us. And so I figured I would just share that where we're at right now and kind of what that looks like. It is a little bit different every day, but there are a lot of similarities in terms of like the resources that we're rotating through and kind of what the structure and rhythm is looking like. So I have my table set up for our homeschool day, what I'm going to be doing for my youngest 3 children. So basically what I'm going to end up doing is calling my 3 youngest to the table, who are 5, 6, and 9, and starting with them. So I know that they're not all gonna sit down at the same exact time. So what I have them do, which is one thing you'll see, is just to get started on their handwriting, which I have out at their spot and open to the very next page. So it's simple, they just sit down and start doing it. And then that way they're not getting antsy waiting for their siblings, or while someone's going to the bathroom or getting water. Or homeschool moms, we all know that like once it's time to gather, all of a sudden people are hungry, thirsty, have to go to the bathroom, all of those things. So that's one thing that I've been doing to kind of help them transition. And then once I have everyone at the table, I give them a couple minutes to finish up, or I might even just start reading whatever we're doing while they're finishing up their handwriting, because sometimes actually them writing something or drawing or coloring or any of those things actually helps them to stay focused, because it keeps their hands busy. Where they might want to fidget. Otherwise, they actually have something they're doing that kind of like fulfills that like fidgeting urge. So you'll see that their handwriting is out there. And then I've been doing most of our group lessons with just my youngest 3 right now. And then I have certain things that I do with all 4, because group learning and like togetherness and connection is a super important part of our homeschool. So I'm just going to show you what I have set up for today. Know that it may vary based on the day. Like tomorrow we have a field trip that we have to be at 10:30, and it's 45 minutes away. We're going berry picking with our Wild and Free group. So we won't have a morning time. Like we'll be getting ready, packing our lunch and eating breakfast and filling water bottles and all of those things. So we won't have any kind of morning time. So I just figured I would give a glimpse. I find it really hard sometimes to answer the question of like, how do you implement this? It's like something that's easier to show than tell, but then sometimes I feel like it's complicated to show, because it's not like I show you today and that's exactly what it looks like every day. I hope that makes sense. So maybe what I'll do is try to do this more often so you can start to see a variety of examples of what our morning time looks like. So let me know if you're interested in that and you would find that helpful. But let's go take a look at what I have set up on the table for today's morning time. Okay, so this is the simple setup that I have waiting for them to get started on our day. It is nothing fancy today, very simple. So I will start with my youngest 3 at the table, and we will do this Living Faith Bible curriculum together. This is something that I had my almost 10-year-old start like a couple of years ago, and we've dipped in and out of it. It is really good, but just depending on the season and what other things we're doing, we've started it or stopped it. And now it's to the point where her 5 and 6-year-old siblings can really benefit from this. And while I don't feel the need for them to fill out the workbook part, I do use it as a guide to guide, like learning about the Bible, godly character, all of those things. There's some art study in here. And like I said, character study. So I'll go through this with the 3 of them to start our morning time. We'll do a couple of poems from this new poetry reader from The Good and the Beautiful. They're just simple and short and sweet, and eventually it's one that's intended for them to read on their own, and it aligns with the Good and the Beautiful language arts curriculum and the skills that are covered in there. But we're going to just be reading through it right now as part of our morning time. And then for the group lesson for them, it is going to be a lesson from the new Science for Little Hearts and Hands from the Good and the Beautiful, their Nests and Burrows course. And we're going to be going to the ocean next week. So we're actually going to be doing this ocean habitats lesson. It just has like a simple opener. And then there's a story time that you read, which is just basically a picture book inside of this big book of science stories that is an engaging narrative style story that also teaches them more about that science topic. So as we do this, they can just listen quietly, or they can create a notebooking page so they can write and or draw about what we're learning. They can choose if they want to use like colored pencils or just sketch or watercolor. There's crayons and markers. It helps keep their little hands busy and also helps them demonstrate what they're learning. So we use notebooking loosely in our homeschool for them to have an opportunity to demonstrate their learning in a way that just is authentic for them, especially with something like this, I like that this actually doesn't come with something for them to complete. So notebooking is the perfect way to tie in with that course. But you'll see that on top of their notebooking, I have their handwriting, so that if they're not all coming to the table at the exact same time because somebody has to go to the bathroom or isn't coming right away, they have something to get started on so that they're not getting antsy while they wait. So that is for my 6 and 5-year-olds. They have pretty much the same thing. They're just on a different page in their handwriting. Sometimes they like to go ahead, which I don't want to stop them from doing. And then over here is my 9-year-old's things that I want her to start with. So again, she just has the notebook so that she can do some notebooking while we do the Science for Little Hearts and Hands. She has handwriting from the Good and the Beautiful, which she is a bit ahead in. She's in level 6 because she really enjoys their handwriting and just kind of sometimes will do a ton of pages. And then she also has this scripture workbook from the Daily Grace Co. where it's just kind of more copy work than it is handwriting and scripture memorization. So she has that as well. And then the only other thing I actually forgot to grab her, which I'm realizing right now, is her gratitude journal. So I have this out for my 14-year-old and she has one as well. So I need to grab hers. But while I'm talking about my 14-year-old, he will not necessarily be sitting in on this lesson. This is recommended for pre-K through 2nd grade. So even though my 9-year-old is technically above that level, she really enjoys doing this with her younger siblings and she learns from it. So why would I not include her? For my 14-year-old, it is a little bit, too young for him, but we really love these gratitude journals. Ashley from Grace and Grit created these maybe 6 months ago or something. I can't quite remember, but there's a verse of the week and a place to talk about the application of it. Things to thank God for, ways God can use us for his service, just getting out what's on our heart and then taking those things to God in prayer. So I really like that predictable structure for them, and that there's also an opportunity at the end of each week for them to reflect on the week. And sometimes it's a couple of weeks because we're not always consistent every single day, but that's okay. And then he's also working through this Bible study. Again, this is something he has dipped in and out of for quite a while now, depending on what other things we're doing. If we're doing a more in-depth Bible study as a family, I might let him take a break on this. But this is really focusing on spiritual disciplines, and so he'll do some of that. And this is just me showing him, like, here are the things that I want you to do for like personal development, to ground yourself for the day before you jump into things like math and language arts independently. And then he just recently started this book, Thoughts for Young Men, Addressing the Greatest Challenges in a Young Man's Life, and he actually really likes it, so I'm excited about that. It really tackles like topics that are important for boys, great for teens. I don't know, I just really think this is a powerful book for young men to be reading that really like shows the things that might try to trip them up or that they'll have a hard time with, and just kind of makes them aware of it and gives them biblical wisdom and strategy for how to overcome those things. So he will get started on this either at the table here with us, or he'll take this and go do this elsewhere. But that is basically our morning time stuff of how we're going to get started for today. And again, it does vary on any given day, but that is at least an example of today. Okay, you guys, I hope you enjoyed getting a little peek into what one of our morning times looks like, just to give you an idea of our homeschool days. We will be moving on from that morning time setup to doing independent lessons for all 4 of them. All of them use The Good and the Beautiful for math and language arts. So they'll all do math and language arts today. My littles will get more breaks and space in between. And my 14-year-old typically likes to jump right in and then take his breaks when he feels like he needs them. He'll drum, he'll draw, he'll maybe do a chore that he needs to get out of the way for the day, eat something. My littles will go outside, play in the playroom, work on some random project or fort or something like that, or maybe even want me to read to them and just relax, have a snack, all of those things. And then throughout the day, we're just doing math and language arts. And then my 14-year-old is completely independent. I just check briefly over what he did. My 9-year-old, who's almost 10, we will be doing her portions of the lesson that require me to do it with her. And then I kind of oversee while she's doing her practice. Sometimes she does it completely independently and then I just check it at the end. Sometimes she needs a little bit more help. And then my 5 and 6-year-olds, I am doing their lessons with them while they sort of learn to do like the independent practice part of it, but I'm like right there at the table with them to support them through it. Or I might be like getting a glass of water, getting myself a coffee, or cleaning something up, but like right there in the room with them where I can see them and they can ask me questions if they have them. So if you have questions, let me know down in the comments and I'll be sure to answer them. Hopefully you found this helpful and just give some insight into not only how I utilize the resources that we cycle through, but also what it looks like to have such a wide variety of ages that I'm homeschooling. So if you're not already following us, you can also follow us over at rooted_homelife on Instagram. And I hope to see you soon in one of my next videos. Until next time, stay rooted.